So it's now 6 o'clock. We'll open up the select board meeting. First on the agenda is asked to make any changes or additions to the agenda. We do need to add the minutes for April 17th, executive session for a bridge and rec field maintenance and truck one bid. So need a motion to add those.
I'll second.
Phil made a motion, Jessica seconded the motion. Any more discussion? Have none, we will add those to the agenda. Anybody's, any more discussion, I should say? Have none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any more changes or additions? If not, we're going to move on to our public comment section. So, anybody from the public want to go ahead?
Just wanted to touch in. I want to kind of talk to Jesse the other day about the ordinances and that type of process, and I think just so frustrated as an Orchard Street resident right now. I'm gonna come to every meeting and see how far that's coming along and try to hold your guys' feet to the fire with dates and timelines, whatever needs to be done around that, and then do the same with law enforcement. Had break-in at a relative's house while everybody was there, kids were there. Break in the neighbor's house last week while they were sleeping, dogs are barking, kept food out of the fridge. They cleaned off Dana and Fran's porch, and it's getting to the point where you don't feel safe at all. We went and bought cameras, but we have a bunch of people who live around, Roseanne and Yolanda, who live there all alone, and you know, you think about how they feel being there all alone. It's
hopefully they just don't know about it, I guess. I mean, we hear about it ourselves through friends and whatever. But damn, when you're an 80-year-old woman living in your house and you gotta be,
yeah.
I mean, it's not cool.
But
And
as a neighbor, you can, give them your number.
yeah, there's
Yeah,
that
I
stuff,
know.
but still, you
But
know,
I
what the
think
hell?
we just need to be the
we're all in
squeaky
the
wheel.
same pickle.
I need to be the squeaky wheel.
No,
and
something needs to, I don't know, we need to do, something needs to happen. Something needs to happen better than what's going on, because it's not. I mean, they had another drug bust right in town today. How many
We
drug
saw
busts?
that.
Right in the same house over and over and over again. So obviously a conversation is warranted with the homeowner, right?
Well, like Susie has said, and she, with the EI, she has a list of people I think you were going to contact.
Yeah, I'm
But
still.
the
I mean,
EI is an informal organization. We can't go knock on his door.
well, we can.
either about what's going on.
Mhm.
About the land. You said you're gonna call a landlord. I mean, that's one thing. But as you're looking through ordinances and stuff, have you
That's
thought
our
about
ordinance.
Or
a
ordinances went out in the village.
nuisance tax, wherein, and it would really be apparent now. I mean, we've got limited coverage, and we're only going to get so much until they get the ranks filled or whatever, right? So, if you've got a contract with the police for X amount of hours, and they're spending 3 or 4 times a month at house number 8. For illegal activity, and the landlords don't do anything, they're still there, maybe there's a nuisance tax about you've spent our precious sheriff time that we have for the whole village, an inordinate amount has been put in your house. And down in Pennsylvania, wherever they do that, they do it's a nuisance tax or something. I think it's a penalty, but maybe you add it to their tax bill and hit them where it hurts.
It's just gotta be, because the people themselves aren't changing. And the landlords, they're either not, we're landlords. I don't have any drug dealers that I know of living in my house. I can go down the street and point out 5 other drug dealers that I know that shit's going on. And when you're a landlord and I don't know, it's just not, the whole thing's getting out of control, and we're gonna do something soon, or we're gonna end up.
Back down.
I mean, we're thinking about building,
Sorry, go ahead.
So it's give me a good reason to stay here right now. That's hard. The only reason I'm here is because I like Enosburgh. why would I build, spend $500,000 on a freaking house in this town right now? Why would I want to? And our house is for sale right now, so imagine. We gotta explain to these guys that, well, it's weird, Orchard Street's been in the hot spot lately. That's kind of a thing.
I was just gonna say, so the ordinances, Susie, because your time's the trustee, that comes from the village.
Right.
That one that you and I have been talking about, and that's been the concern that I've had with that trash and ordinances, that needs to be updated, and it just needs to be updated, and I'm not.
So what's the timeline on that?
How do we do that?
Good question. So the last time it was left with John and Abby talk, and I'm not trying to throw them under the bus. I'm not.
That's where it needs to come from, it's from them?
So ordinances come from,
are
separate than what
Town and village.
right. So they have their set of ordinances, we don't have ordinances as far as the town is concerned, the village does. So part of that, remember, he has that.
Yeah, so it's the
Ticket book.
timeline I need to be pushing?
The ticket book, because
Okay.
I had raised some questions to them, and again, I'm not trying to call them out,
No,
not at
that's
all,
fine.
but I think the ticket book is a heck of an idea. It's really nice that you have that tool in, your toolbox to find these people to do
Yeah.
this. The problem is that ordinance isn't reflecting that we now have that tool in our
Okay.
toolbox,
Did you want something also done to the, cause there's something in there, I don't wanna keep going back, but there's something in there that Andrew's using that could put a penalty. There was a letter thing and there was a penalty. Is that a different thing than the one you're talking about right now, or is that the same thing?
Andrew.
Angie.
Oh, well, there is. So again, in the enforcement side, on what we do, on the zoning side of things, again, it's not a clear cut, and I had a completely separate discussion with the state regarding this, about having, right now, I go back to, so when my time at Bates, when we had to go we go legal on somebody, because they owed us money. We
Yeah.
had a clear cut, it was an attorney that said, okay, you do 3 letters. The first 2 are certified letters, the third one is the nasty one, okay, you're going to court.
Yeah,
There was a clear and defined process. Right now, I can fine, but I don't know with what means to fine with. I don't have, so like John, perfect example, he did do the right thing with the trash ordinance.
Yeah.
He has a ticket book that's requested from the Judicial Bureau.
yeah,
That would be nice that if I have that in my arsenal in the bylaws for the zoning infractions, okay, then you can go in and do that.
we need to update the bylaws, is that what we're saying?
that as we speak.
Okay, how long does that take?
Right now, so we're hoping to be done by October, because we have to do audits, we're looking at one facet of it. We're doing we're taking the town and the village, putting them in one book, and they're doing their audit as we speak right now, so we're meeting on.
So they have to give their stamp approval even though it's.
Ordinances are quicker though.
Right, ordinances we
Ordinances are
can,
quicker,
right.
and you can be done by the governing board.
Internally?
Governing board, yes.
Yeah.
You can get
Right.
something done with an ordinance a lot quicker.
So that would deal with some things. Would it deal with the trash? Would it deal with, okay.
And then on your end, it would
If they
deal,
can update that trash ordinance to reflect what they're trying to do.
Mhm.
I think I told you too, the other thing that, and I haven't gotten a verification, Dick Rogarch was the only one that signed that ordinance, which we know any of that kind of stuff has to have a majority. So that's another question that needs to be brought up is this okay, is this kosher here, So I think what needs to happen is it needs to reflect, we have this Judicial Bureau ticket now, and then there's a little, they can attach a lien to it.
Yep.
But again, it's the process, so they issue the ticket, issue, every day there's a violation, The Judicial Bureau then hears that in their court or wherever it is. If judgment is given to them and they don't pay that fine, so, it's okay, it's $2,000. If they don't pay that, that's when that lien can be attached.
Perfected and attached.
But
But
that needs
again-
to be on the landlord, not the tenant.
Right.
And none of that,
But
because
they
that,
don't last forever, so that if they're perfected, if I remember correctly, they're good for like 5 years, maybe 7 years, and then they have to be dealt with again, or
Right.
they disappear. And so unless someone's refinancing or selling their house, that lien can sit there till somebody forgets it or whatever. I think we need something that's a more immediate force that's gonna cause people to, it's getting really bad.
Well, that's where you maybe need to have the village contact their attorney to find out what forces you can use.
So what happens is this, if this happens next to our storage units, let's say somebody across the road from our storage units is selling drugs. Not that I know this or whatever, but we presume this is going on. Cops go there over and over and over again. That's in a town. We can't do anything there, right? I mean, isn't this something that we all should play ball on? Isn't there something that everybody should wrap their heads around this thing in one way or another, so that this fine can go?
There is no ordinance for that. The ordinance he's talking about is the trash and the
I understand that, but I mean,
Yeah, the
okay.
trucking.
So there's nothing.
But even the
in
trash
place.
piece
I think
goes
most-
into the town, not just in the village. If it goes something into the town, you guys, your hands are tied, you can't do anything about that?
Well, we can, that's where going into this
Bylaw.
bylaw business, where we can, if we can have a clear and defined process of doing this, then, because that's the other question I've always brought up, and I brought it up a million times, is what defines picked up?
Oh, I know.
That is the, because.
Exactly, I understand.
That's the frustrating part, is what the hell do you call, because literally the people from the state, when they told me that one man's trash is another man's treasure crap, and it's like, no, garbage is garbage, but what is garbage? What
Right.
is it defined as? What is it?
Organic garbage and what garbage is, how.
Right, we can't tell somebody they can't have a crappy couch on their front porch.
But you can say, so how do you deal with unregistered vehicles now? I mean, I think there's no more than 2 unregistered vehicles or something in there, maybe.
So technically it is, we're at 1, the
One.
state is at 4.
So, yeah, but we're Enosburgh,
Right.
we're not the state,
Right.
so then how do you
Right.
do that now when people don't have to have a tag or anything on their car? How do
Right,
you know?
again, it's that enforcement, can we lump this all into one? We go into an enforcement section and it says this is what it is. So if it's garbage, a car, you don't get a permit for your garage, or those kind of things. Again, it's that clear and defined cut of what can we do and how can we do this.
But I mean, and then it's like she said, you know, we've got a house that the cops are there 4 times a year, right to the same place, right to the same apartment, right to all that. It seems like there's something, at some point, we gotta be able to stop and say, I mean, but like I said, if this happens outside the village, we're laying this all on just the village. Right now, it is a village problem because we're all looking right at it. But I mean, so, let's say we kick all these guys out of town, bada bing, they're gone. They're in the town now. Now we gotta start all over again. You know, you guys don't want them as your neighbors up there on the mountain either, I'll tell you that right now.
But you
It's not
saying that
fun.
it's a village problem is not true, because we carry the contract for policing, so it's a lot of weight on the select board
Right on,
shoulders.
and but the whole thing is just a mess, and somehow,
Of
we've
not
gotta
our
have.
making. You have to realize, and you do understand, it's not of our making.
Oh, I'm not sitting there blaming
No.
you guys for anything.
It affects us all, we're all living in
Mhm.
Enosburgh, and it's terrible, we see it.
We've got people running through my backyard at midnight on a regular basis, going door to door, checking people's stuff. That's a little unnerving, you know, I mean, it's not even in, like I said, you take into consideration the people that live around us that aren't really in the capacity to defend themselves against some fool in their kitchen that wants to come in for a bowl of goulash. I mean, you know, that's not cool. It's a home invasion thing, it's this and it's that, and then again, some of it is the police end, and they're not gonna be around for
But
every
they've
incident,
been-
I get that.
They've been, Chris has been in contact with one who's been very responsive and
The
I
guy that's been
think
doing all the busting here.
they need, you know,
From
I
Swan?
know,
Is he
Wagner.
from Swan?
No, he's a state trooper, Wagner. He's been really good. And I know I haven't continued on with the whole landlord tenant thing, got a few other things going on, but I will get back on it, but regardless of whatever efforts we can get done around there, and we will start out with asking nicely these landlords, can, you know, hey, you're having an effect on this community, whatever, but at some point it's gonna come
No, it will, but I
Back.
think that's a great
Yeah.
avenue, I mean, that
Yeah,
conversation.
for sure, for
It's
sure.
just, we're headed headlong into this mess, and we gotta either start now and get in front of it a little bit, cause it's not getting any better, and it's just getting more. These guys are doing whatever they want right in front of you, they don't care, because there's no consequence. And I get that we're not the governing body over that, but if we can inconvenience the hell out of them here in this town, somehow towns are doing this stuff. Some villages and towns are able to pull this off, not just here. And it's not an Enosburgh problem, and it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
But everybody must be having conversation about this then, if that's the way it is, because not the whole town. I mean, it's always like, let them do what they want to do next door. That's the way we've always lived our lives around here. Let the neighbor kind of, whatever. But it's gotten way past that. It's not, it's not bothering me, so I'm not going to get up their ass. But now it's bothering people. It's not cool.
Well,
And we're in a different world.
For example, there was a guy that was shot in the middle of the day in Burlington, right at the end of Church Street. I don't know if you heard that. I know it's Burlington, but that's only 50 miles away from us.
Hey, that's
Guy at 11:30 in the morning got shot in the chest right by Manhattan Pizza on Saturday.
Yeah.
Not at 11:30 at night, not at, like right in the middle of the day.
And that's my concern. Everybody's armed. Somebody's gonna get shot.
We all have guns in Enosburgh. Most people have long guns and stuff like that. But I mean, there's some pistols. It's just shit's gonna happen.
It's not just a village problem.
Pardon?
No, I know.
It's not just a village problem.
No.
Right across the street from my house.
We've got active zoning violations going on, but it goes back to the teeth into the bylaws, and
Yeah, so I just wanna
it's not a quick process.
keep it high on the list, put the pressure on, timeliness. We don't want this dragging out 2-3 years and then just get more embedded in the community. I mean, I think we need to be on it. I think townspeople will be behind you. Do whatever we
I
can.
know on my end, the process can be dragged out because we're on a timeline for the grant that we have anyway.
Okay.
And just to reassure you,
Yeah.
not that I want it to drag on. I want this because I want this in.
I would advocate
Stone.
some sort of stamp that's used on, you start out with letters. I mean, it shouldn't be one person's name on that letter where everybody's like, okay, he's the guy I want. It could be like the authority of the
The
town of
whole select board
Enosburgh
has to sign
village or
something to send it
something.
off or something. Yeah, it's not cool that you've got to send a.
Oh no, that's what I signed up for, and that's fine. I fully knew what I signed up for. I just wanna.
But we're behind it.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, but I just to put it on paper and stick it in front of somebody and say they're gonna say that Jesse
And
Woods,
then
he's
you
out
have-
to get me. Nobody wants to. And again, we aren't sitting here blaming you guys, but we're trying to also impress upon you that this is something that needs to be thought about. I'm sure
Put
you're
as a
thinking about
priority.
it.
I guess it's the word. Put
But
it
it's just-
as
it's
a
not-
priority if you can.
All the other things that go on in this town, with this going on too, it makes everything else hard to do because
This
we
has
got
been
a
the
lot
biggest
of
priority.
crazy shit going on.
Definitely has.
And it's not normal, you know what I mean? It's just not a normal, that's not the way anybody wants to live.
It's not.
I mean, we've always had, we used to have drunks in the park. We put a fence around the doughboy so they wouldn't play in there anymore, that's what we did. Or whatever, but those days are gone. These guys are just criminals. And,
Well, they're not
we're
just
getting,
criminals.
well, they got stuff coming from out of town
It's
and,
not, yeah, right. They're not.
It's not even good.
Homegrown people. They're
right, and they're playing with people
Well,
that
the
are
dealers, but we've
a
got
nudge
people who have
above.
issues locally that need help, but this is beyond that. This is the other element that's in there, So,
And
Sorry.
I've been dealing with it like
it was a rough week.
just freaking killing me sitting there watching a drug deal go down in Champlain Farms parking lot. Just sit right there and watch it. And then the next you turn around, there's another one going. I mean, watching an actual
I
thing
can-
going
I can
on.
see it
Watching
from
in the
my
park over there
office.
today in the parking
We
lot.
see it.
On the other side of the salon.
Yep.
I could see them.
Yeah,
Yep.
back in there again. That's the state. We can't really do a lot there. The state dropped the ball on this whole thing, and they're compounding the whole thing. So I guess that's a Penny thing. We're gonna all have to talk to Penny because he's our local. That's the best we can do,
At that
right?
level as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just. It's not cool.
Dinner?
I mean, we got cameras and we got. We're not happy having to deal with this. I put a lock on the Butson's door. They haven't had a lock on their door since 1997. Haven't even had a lock on their door.
We put new locks on all of our.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. How's that?
Came in and
feel?
took their cold cuts, prepared meals that she had for the rest of the week, and a creamer.
Yeah.
And they have like 4 dogs barking like crazy. Came in the night, the dogs went berserk, didn't think much of it, came down and all this food's missing from our fridge.
I heard they did that on Church Street, but with like $1,500 worth of stuff from Costco out of a freezer.
And,
Oh,
and,
really?
and another one as well, which doesn't want to be named, but with everybody in the house, little kids and everything.
Yeah, you have 4 kids and 2 adults sleeping in the house, and the adults sleep a minute from like arm's reach to the kitchen.
Yeah.
And the dude's in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Just standing there, 5 o'clock in the morning, having dinner, eating your leftovers.
Yeah.
How's that? Makes you want to sell your
It was
house.
very scary,
Very
especially
scary.
with kids in the house.
Very
Yeah,
scary.
it's just like, what's going on? Your brain doesn't work like that when you see it at 5 o'clock in the morning, especially. But it's a matter of time before somebody gets shot or something crazy goes down in town. We're gonna make the papers. Maybe the Courier if we're lucky, because Not much else in this town gets in their hopes. Anybody listening?
I mean, you know, we're frustrated because we're trying hard too, and it's not a thing that we can throw money at.
Right.
It's it's the personnel. They don't have the people.
That and
But the
judicial
cops
system.
aren't the peace either. You know, you can have 5 cops on the streets all day long, and the shit's still gonna go on, and they can't do anything. So it needs to be more of our involvement, making them uncomfortable in this neighborhood, making it so it's like, damn, and then getting up, it's the landlords.
And that's why
Yeah.
I like to, you know, we've got the bylaws coming up. That's a little bit longer term, it's not immediate. But we've see some stuff this winter, and we're limited in what we can do.
Yeah,
But here's a chance with them coming up that we can probably put some
teeth in it.
yeah, get something.
Yeah,
Thank you.
the best we can do is just inconvenience people. We can't throw anybody in jail as a town. We can't press charges. We can't. But we can do things legally that make sense, and it's something that really needs to be. There's got to be other areas where you can look and see what they're doing. Maybe they got some tricky stuff that. Because this isn't. I mean, it's not even cool.
Yeah.
So, and I get that it's a village problem as well. And
Well, it's not just,
we're
It's
gonna
in-
go
we're
there
not
too.
throwing it on them, not at all.
Right, but we're gonna go there and have a conversation with them again, and you know.
That's what we do for entertainment these nights. We go to trustee meetings and select board meetings and, thank you though.
And then it goes back to, back to those ordinances, if there is some of those different ordinances, then it gives, statutes to those ordinances, which then gives more tools for law enforcement. So whether it's a noise ordinance, you go, hey, listen, this is what it is, we can enforce this, or it's, then it gives those guys more tools, so.
Yeah.
I would also go the representative route though.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, for
letters,
Well, he's in
emails.
town today too. Should've done.
Yeah, because that will
And-
go a
and
long
him
way.
And others. Bob
Yeah, not
Norris, Mike
just-
McCarthy, everybody.
Right.
And their session's almost over too.
Yeah,
So.
Yeah, right, and we don't wanna, I don't know, we can try to round them up for maybe another board, we wouldn't surprise, we aren't gonna, hey, look at all this, everybody's, but we'd let you know, and we got them in here,
But
maybe.
they are aware because we had them in
We did
here
have them all.
a month ago, and we were surprised how many came in. And they are aware down there in Montpelier, but it's the action.
That's where the problem's coming from, is out of Montpelier, a lot of it, because the law enforcement's walking around with their hands tied a lot. And a lot of these, I mean, these guys get busted, they're back home by lunch, they just had a free meal at the courthouse is all they did. And they don't care, I don't know.
The court system is backed up, and because of that, the defendants are getting away with minimum requirement. So if they can get away with 0 bail, their lawyer's gonna say, nope, he needs minimum requirement. So if he can get 0 bail, he's gonna get it.
Yeah.
If he can get away with no conditions, he's gonna get it, because I'm dealing with that right now.
Yeah.
And like, at least the village has a noise ordinance. I called state police the other night because the neighbor was shooting at 9 and 10 o'clock, and it was 9 and 9:30. And he was shooting, shining a flashlight, and it was dark out. I'm like, it's not safe. I have kids here. They have kids there. He's
Yeah.
outside shooting. Oh, we can't respond because you guys don't have a noise ordinance, and the noise ordinance for the town doesn't kick in until 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Regardless if it's in the dark.
Yeah.
But in Texas, the other day, somebody had a similar issue, and they were shooting, and they went and talked to the person. And a little while later, he was walking up the driveway with his gun, and he shot 10 people.
Yeah.
All right, so.
Thank you for listening,
Yeah,
Chris.
we gotta keep moving on,
Yep.
because we do have an agenda. Riley, I think you got a few minutes here, and then we need to move on to our next bullet item.
So I'm here about the trash issue and the occupant issue at the place across the street from my house, owned by the tenant home owned by Larry in Carmen, Illinois.
But that home is not owned by them, it's owned by Mr. Woods. Or Wood, I
Right,
think Wood, Noah's.
the property is owned by
The land it sits
Benoit.
on.
Yes, so the land that it sits on is owned by Benoit, and there's a worsening trash issue over there, and Daniel Wood owns the trailer, and he apparently went ahead. I'm not sure if he applied for a permit, I didn't see a permit. sign.
We are aware of the issue, and that's one of the ones that we're actively pursuing right now.
Yeah. Not sure what, I inquired about the trash, issue with the Sandy Murphy, and not sure where that stands.
And that goes back to what is trash, because your other neighbor down the road, we put it through the state way back when Lloyd Touchette was there, and it's farm material, and
Right,
you know,
that's a tenant home and not part of the farm. So I believe she stated that that was something enforceable last year.
Did you speak with her on the phone to have her or email her?
Yeah, I spoke with her on the phone
And did
last
she
year
give you a,
and this year.
and she said she was going out?
She said she'd look into it.
Okay, but she hasn't
No.
reported, given you a letter or anything?
The Wood residents, a case has been filed with the state regarding the trash, regarding the additional house, regarding, I deal with wastewater permits. You build a house, you tell me it's a 3-bedroom, I need a 3-bedroom to reflect that. That's about as far as I go, but that's another thing that we reference the state on. We've opened up a case on that. They're planning on visiting hopefully soon. I met with him, what did I meet?
Somebody told me that his grandparents are living in the camper apparently.
Anytime you add a bed,
Yeah.
you're adding a bed to your wastewater, you know. You're adding a bed to that whole total house, you guarantee the wastewater isn't reflecting that. The state, their first line is, we wanna try to fix the problem. They have, what they were telling me is they have a line of ARPA funds, so what they're actually doing is they're going to homes, evaluating wastewater treatment, or wastewater, what their facilities are, if they're under adequate, if they're non-existent, if they're whatever, they're throwing money at them to maybe possibly get them fixed. Because again, it's not attractive in their eyes to throw somebody out onto the street, basically, even though it is an abomination, it's a hole. He said what they try to do is they fix first, and if they don't fix, they have the ability to sue, the state does, so they can bring them to court and sue them over the violations. He said, but that's kind of a end of the road, we're not getting there with anything. That's directly from, I met David Thursday last week, Thursday, I met him maybe Friday, I don't remember what it was. So the challenge is the housing crisis. What's happening is the entire state is seeing all these campers, there's no housing, so he said in the Newport area, he said it's awful, he said because he said you can't throw a stick without a camper attached to a house, backed in, thrown in, put in, everywhere, he said, and it's instead of not buying or not being able to buy or rent a house, they find a camper, they slap it on their buddy's front lawn, and they think that they're golden, so.
And they are. They're not wrong. Because nobody does it, nobody can do it.
Right, exactly. The interesting part that I thought was that they had money to basically alleviate which I guess is good, and
So they would make a septic system accommodate a house and a camper.
So if you had a two-bedroom system and you had another one, they would throw money at it to fix it to make it a 3-bedroom.
So if you, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's
Yeah.
an idea for your new home.
There you go. Just build a house without a septic and then
So
just,
what is the requirement for, like, Enosburgh for campsite?
So
Because,
the town is 6 months. And village, I believe, is 4.
so,
That camper
so
can
as
sit
far
on
as
site.
like septic and that type of thing, does the campsite owner or property owner need to have on-site disposal area?
So like Brookside, they had an Act 2, I mean, I don't know what their Act 250 permit, what the threshold is, they have to have, they actually have a design system up there.
Right, so what I'm getting at is, so since you're writing your bylaws up or whatever, have something in there if they're gonna have a campsite or campers on the property that people are renting or they're making income from or whatever, that there needs to be on site.
Well, they're
That's a
violating zoning if
requirement
they're
to do
taking.
that.
I can say they're violating zoning anyway. I mean, really, as doing that by slapping a camper up as a room, a bedroom, or whatever have you.
And the route we have to take is it has to go to the owner, cause a lot of times these campers aren't the owners. So that's the route there's several that we are
There's
actively
one down
pursuing.
on White Road, that house down there, there's that house at the end of White Road. And there's 2 campers in the yard, plumbed in.
Yeah, let us know,
Like I
because
say, if you
I
know
just saw him, we
them,
walked the
we
rail
just-
trail the other day, I was like,
because
what the hell?
I will open up a case because each basically way David and I we left it is I will go, we will take a photo, I go back in the grand list, whoever the owner is, we go back, we set up a file, I submit to him, and that is a file, he said. And they have the ability, the nice part is, depending on some of these places, you know, if we need to bring in law enforcement as a backup, not a backup, but, you know, some places
Support, yeah.
you roll up and they're not gonna be
More
like,
law enforcement down there.
yeah, so,
Right now, we're going there.
yeah.
that's on White Road.
That's
Yeah, at the end of White
Wable's.
Road, I think it's
Wable's property.
Wable's own that house down there, right?
They do.
I mean, nobody wants to throw these guys under the bus, I get it, but if they don't,
Well, everybody's part of the system, you know, if you're at a home, you should be paying taxes for the infrastructure and everything else, and there's, you know, it's getting to be multiple that are sliding under the rug here, trying to skirt the law, and, you know, we're trying to address that, and that's why we definitely talked about trying to make these new bylaws stronger, to, you know,
Or at
exactly
least
some sort of
to have
septic, or it's just a violation, and how can we enforce it?
there's not some
Dollars.
conversation around it, at least, very least, right now, it's something we don't even talk about, but hasn't been. I mean, it used to be like your parents go out to Florida for the winter, and in the summer they come back, they camp out in your back lawn for their whole summer, not your
Right.
parents, but a lot of
See,
people did that.
it was seasonal.
It went on, you know, and they were all like, well, geez, you know, they're retired, they come back, and that's good stuff. That's not what's going on anymore. We got-
Is there,
you know,
public comment on the bylaws? Is there gonna be a public meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's 2 public meetings probably, I think.
Yeah, we'll have 2.
It's the process.
And you're thinking by October, you're gonna have at least one of these meetings, is what you're thinking?
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
I
We
mean,
just
you were
got an
saying October
extension,
for-
we got a little bit of an extension because it was a tight, we only had one, and, Northwest was the only one that bid on so it kinda made, we held out to put it to bid to see if somebody else would come in, another planning entity. No one bid on it except Northwest Regional, so it kind of dragged us out a little bit,
It still goes
so.
through your approval. The
Absolutely.
local control and the local idea is not at Northwest, it's here.
Okay.
I think
And
that's
that's-
important to remember.
Right, and that's another thing now, I think, you know, there were so many years and no fault to any planning commissions, but the planning commissions are a volunteer-based group, and, you know, when you have 300 pages of bylaws between the village and the town, to go through and review all of those sections, nobody wants to do that.
No.
You know, and I think now, and for years, like you said, Chris, years ago, it didn't matter. These things didn't matter. It wasn't a big deal. Now we have to look through this stuff with a fine tooth comb. When I started, I have files. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. Why are we doing this? I mean, we have gas stations that are in compliance. None of our gas stations are actually what the bylaws reflect. They didn't, you know, so what you're doing, again, no fault, it was just they were cookie cuttering, they were taking it from another municipality and they're putting it in there. So you had a lot of that stuff that just, I mean, I've said it a million times, it actually references the South Hero zoning administrator in the village bylaws. So they totally copied and pasted from there,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, so, is it like, we have to task somebody with
No, they got a
review?
bid.
We got a bid,
Yeah,
we have,
that's-
so regional's they're gonna go through, audit it, they're gonna put it together, and then that's when we talked about basically taking sections and picking it apart, and everybody looks, you know, from the board, whatever, and we look through all of these things and make sure that it's applicable to Enosburgh, it's not just cookie cutter across the board. And if we can legally do some of this stuff too, I don't know, you know, some of these
I was
things.
involved in one of them years back, and I was a little uncomfortable with how much the tone was at Northwest, how their control over it, because really it is an Enosburgh bylaws and ordinances, and I felt like some people felt like, oh, they weren't able to say anything. No, they're giving suggestions, and I'm sure there's legal things, but it is ours, and we should make sure we remember it's ours.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We wanted to do it ourselves,
Yeah.
actually, is what we wanted to do. One, it would've saved us, I mean, yeah, we got the grant, but it would've saved us a pile of money, and then we would've truly, the problem was the guidance through the process. It was, yeah, you can go back and say, hey, we need to change this and this and this, but then, okay, now what do we do? You know, where those guys do have the ability to kind of lead us to water a little bit with some of these things, especially the, you know, the public comment portion. Okay, you guys gotta do this now, you've gotta, you
It's all
know.
timeline, you gotta do it right or we doesn't.
Cause we gotta, not only to these guys, I mean, we still have the village, so the trustees have to do the village portion of, cause it's gonna, basically the village is gonna be a subsection of the bylaws,
So this isn't like a piece where we could've hired a lawyer or somebody and then just would've taken the ball, one outfit could've taken it and gone, reviewed our,
Well, I
Yeah.
was hoping for another one besides Northwest to bid on it, because again, like, I'm with you, Susie, it's, you know, I
I mean, you're a
think.
great service.
Yeah,
company, so
right,
I
right.
just- People sometimes think, oh, we gotta do it, no, you know, it's still up to your authority.
Right,
And I'm
right.
glad you guys are on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we gotta keep moving on there, I
So,
appreciate the comments.
The other issue I'm having is the cattle issue still, and this will be year number 3 that I'm coming in to complain about it, and it's still an issue. Cows have been out, fence is still terrible, fence isn't on. And like the town to step up and do something. I've been told by too many state officials that the town can do something, and
I was aware that you went to court with them over that issue.
I received damages. That's all I can do. The cattle at large issue is still in court. They tried to put it through diversion, tried to get him to fix his fence. He did not comply, so it went back into the court systems. He's due in July and August to go back to court.
If it's an active court case, then the town can't step in.
The town's fence viewers can always step in.
The fence viewer, again, we've been over this,
This
our
is-
attorney was over this with you. It is not for fixing and holding
Well, part of the
fences for
division
cattle.
fence is in tatters between Jarvis and Jarvis Family Farm and Mr. Benoit's fence line. It's right on the ground, and the cows have been out. I showed you guys pictures. The fence along the road is terrible. I don't know where else they get out, but that's where I've seen them get out. So it is a division line issue, so.
But it's not dividing your property and his property.
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
Right, okay. So
We gotta keep going here, we've heard this issue over and over.
Right, so
Consider it,
why doesn't the town do something? State's attorneys have told me that the town needs to step in, and the representatives have told me the town needs to step in, and the Agency of Agriculture told me that it is a nuisance. It has become a problem so much that it is a nuisance. It's a nuisance to me, it's a nuisance to other neighbors. And you, for yourself and Mr. Wright, you're only doing yourself a discredit. You are actually.
that's
this
your
is
opinion,
No.
that
this
is your
from-
opinion.
This is from the attorney at the state agency of agriculture, and her name is Willie Jean Patry, and she has told me that as farmers, it is a protected practice for a job, for occupation, but when it becomes a nuisance, you're actually hurting yourself because you're letting someone else.
We
in the
asked you
community.
way back too, if you wanted an ordinance to get a petition, we've never seen any petition.
I don't need one. There's state statutes that state that sufficiency of fence and for division lines to be in the condition that they are in. How long has it been since you did your fence between Mr. Benoit and
I
yourself?
don't have any animals there.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't
I'm
matter.
sure you got fences around your yard too. Are they all fixed? You don't have animals?
I don't have fences around my yard.
There,
My
exactly.
no, my fence.
You can go around and around on this all day.
Mr. Jarvis. Yeah, we can go around and around with this, but you should have recused yourself at the beginning of this meeting because you
Before.
are, because you have a division line by Mr. Benoit, and you are actually part of the issue, because regardless if you have animals or not, you are required by law to fix half the fence. Either you do it, have 2 fences and you fix your half one year and he does it the next, or you fix half and he fix half. That is a state statute.
Who is this, Riley, Willie
Jean
Jean?
Patry, he's in.
Yes.
And you,
And
and you
her
talked,
phone number, I can give it to you. Her number is 802-261-1861.
and what did you say about the petition for the ordinance? You said that it's not,
I shouldn't have to.
you shouldn't, okay. No, I just wanna get your
There's state
information.
statutes that have their requirements for fence viewers and nuisance animals, and those are all enforceable by the town. And it would be a benefit to the town, because there's $100 fine for bulls at large. And on the 10th, there was a bull out, and it was over 9 months, and it was in the road. And this keeps occurring, so it's something that you guys at the town can find someone for, and it would be a benefit to the town. It would be income towards the town.
Would that be part of the bylaw, like looking at ordinance? That's not
ordinance
for
is a
that.
separate
Okay.
ordinance.
And
This is a
I know you
separate
guys don't view this the same way, but the state statute for animal control officer, they have the authority to catch livestock. It says right in the state statute, if you look up animal control officer. It's not just cats and dogs. I realize they don't have a place to house them, but that's no excuse. It's state law. They're required to.
Alright, so we're taking all that in consideration, and we really need to be moving along, because we should have only been on this for 15
Well,
minutes.
you guys have
and it's
had
6
2 other years to consider it. I think it needs to move a little bit further than that.
And like I said, it seems like you're the only one that's ever complaining. Like, if it's an issue for everybody, they should be lining up in here. We never have that. I go down that road, it's like there's wild cattle everywhere, so I don't steal. And last year, there was another neighbor that had cattle down there, and you were blaming it on him, but it was actually the other guy, and he is now deceased, and those animals are gone. And we also had those animals leaving the property, and you intervened and stopped the whole process
I didn't
2
stop
falls
anything.
ago. You did.
I think we'll take a look, reach out to, like you said, Willie Jean, just get some more information, and we'll definitely look at all the information again.
Well, I hope something's done, because
I hear your
my
frustration.
issue's been dragging on for 3 years. I hate to have their issues drag on for 3 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Here's yours.
Bye.
Alright, so moving on to the next agenda item. You're Lamoille County Sheriff, I believe? No?
Yes.
Yes.
And we're gonna need to go in executive session to have this discussion. So
Make a motion to go into executive.
Phil made the motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Dean seconded that motion. Any more discussion? Have none, all those in favor and go into executive session, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any more ayes?
Oh, aye.
All those opposed say nay. We just came out of executive session, 8:05, and no action was taken for executive session. And we'll move on to our next agenda item, should be Bethany members, with sand and salt shed changes.
Okay.
Bethany?
So I have 3 quick things with 3 items for the salt shed. And then we can, if you have any questions about how things are going, we can talk about that. But the first is a notice to proceed for you to sign, Larry. So this is, you've done the notice of award, you've signed the contract with the contractor, and then this is a notice to proceed. that happens after the pre-construction, meeting that happened between the construction engineer, the contractor, and the town last week. So this just says that we're ready for you to start.
You'll
That's a
sign
good
that,
paper.
nothing we've done matters, right?
It's a piece of paper.
I'll give you the tree back.
And then the next, and I don't need this today, but I just want to let you know that this is invoice number 7, request for reimbursement, for going from last February up to the end of April, for Du Bois King's charges for, total request is $6,429 and change, that you've already paid out, and this is a reimbursement request. So I don't need it back tonight, but at some point we need just the signed cover letter back, so that gets submitted to V-Trans. Wanted to get that housekeeping done as more invoices start to flow. And then finally, the last item is your, the fire and safety permit. This is something that we started back in 2020, but that we didn't actually go to bid, but now we need to have one. So I have one place for you to sign on this form, Larry, but I first wanted to, you'll be signing on the back.
Okay.
But I first wanted to mention that the fire and safety permit is based on the total project cost for construction. And so it is, the total project cost is multiplied by 0.008 cents. So with your construction cost, that brings the permit to $10,296.28. It is reimbursable from the grant, so once it's paid, we'll seek reimbursement, but, and this is something that we've been including and watching and knowing that it was gonna be, we thought it was gonna be a little bit less, because we were hoping the bids were gonna be less, but. So, there's a place for you to sign on the back, Larry. The engineers filled out the application back in 2020, the form has changed, but none of the information has, I transferred it all over.
Yeah.
What gets submitted with that is they want all the bid documents, copies of the construction plans, and then we also have, Du Bois King did a narrative that they talked about the different qualifications and materials testing and all of that. That I didn't look at too closely, I just know that an engineer did it, and they said to submit it with the fire permit. So the one piece with this is, I didn't know mechanics-wise of how to go about getting a check to submit with the permit, and how to get that.
Mary can do it. I'm leaving.
You're going on vacation, right?
Right.
Oh, happy
Vegas.
vacation.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, Lori said that.
Yeah. But Mary can do up a check. Joey just has to, can you email her in the morning about how much?
Yep.
And then
Well-
Joey can go pick it up.
Okay.
Or you can, or
Well,
somebody.
what I was gonna suggest is I'm heading, the office is in Williston, and I'm heading on Wednesday morning.
Mhm.
I'll be in Williston, so I thought tomorrow at some point, if
Yeah.
Mary's cutting a check,
Yeah.
I could pick it up, and then I could handle over this on Wednesday.
Can you email her in the morning, Joey?
Yeah.
How about after how we're done, and I'll CC you, I will send her a
Yes.
copy, so
Yeah.
she has the
Okay.
numbers.
You send her a copy, she'll have it.
Yeah, and I'll include you, so she knows I'm
Here's
legit.
legit.
Not just writing checks down.
So,
Any word on the legislature causeway money?
I mean, what we know is that it's, the causeway money was in the budget. What we don't know is, the budget's gonna get vetoed, from the governor.
Yeah.
But these are federal dollars, so I don't see anything happening to them, but what I was talking about with Joey is that hopefully by your next select board meeting, the budget will at least have passed. And we can talk more.
Yeah, but if it's vetoed, it's not gonna go anywhere. Or
Well,
is it
They
vetoed?
override the veto.
They got the numbers?
No, well, I don't know if they do, but typically they do. I think
Yeah,
they
they
already
might
had,
because.
they already had it set in motion who they were going to have there for that, so.
You know, and I mean, I'm not a legal expert or political expert whatsoever, but, you know, my understanding is it's gonna be, you know, state dollars is where things would be cut,
Right,
so.
yeah.
Might just be part of the process.
But it's
Yeah.
delayed, because, you know,
It's part, yeah.
anything, so, things have been slowly getting started, there's been a lot of back and forth getting things started. Joey's seeing a lot of emails, I'm getting a lot of emails. Excavator hasn't gotten into the ground yet, but that could happen this week, it might be next week, depending on the contractors getting some good benchmarks to start the work from. And so it's on the contractor, is the contractor's responsibility to use the engineer's plans and lay out their control points and lay out the project. And so there's just been some back and forth with the subs on who does that and how to get that done. So they wanted to start today or tomorrow, and that's not gonna happen.
I see a lot of people out there, but maybe you guys are playing ball out there?
No. No, they were there setting up some signs and doing what they could do today, but yeah.
This weather must not help either, though,
Yeah,
right?
today wasn't a great day to be in the ground, so.
Okay.
Did you wanna talk a little bit about the material quantities being
The
off
discrepancy.
from what the,
But I
or
think,
do we
yeah,
know enough about that yet to really?
no, I think it's good at least to flag it. Do you wanna relay what your understanding, or?
Yeah, so I guess, with the contractor, Millbrook and others as well, it brought it to their attention, I guess, but when Du Bois and King did the material estimates, according to Millbrook, they've put it out to subcontractors to bid on these quantities on the dirt work to different contractors, and every contractor, he said, has come back and said that their quantities are off. They're not high enough, so that means that it's gonna take more materials to backfill some of these areas than what the estimate showed and what they bid on. They had to bid on what the estimates that the engineer had set forth, and that was what Du Bois and King's estimates were. So there's gonna be some overages there, chances are, definitely, by the sounds.
Without a doubt.
So,
It's a golden,
guess who's gonna have to
golden,
pay for that?
golden shed.
Was it just in the dirt work, or was it more of this?
The concrete,
too?
concrete, I guess there's a little bit, up to 20% with some stuff.
It
Don't know
just
exactly
doesn't make
what.
sense.
And so, yeah, and so that came out in conversation at the pre-construction meeting last week. And at this point, you know, that's opinions and things. What your construction inspector has done is gotten all the quantity documentation that the engineer did, so all the math work that went into their reasoning for the quantities, which doesn't get provided to the contractor, but is going to be something that he's reviewing in order to, if questions come up, to be able to understand the engineering work that went into these quantities. So we're flagging it. At this, we don't have any idea whether it's true, but it was concerning enough to hear it, that it wasn't just, one sub that said it to the contractor, it was a couple.
How can the cement work be off?
Don't know how much the cement was off, but it was off some from what Du Bois and King had estimated the yards of concrete, and what Harrison said it's actually gonna take I don't know if they threw out a percentage of that, but it was different.
Seriously?
Yeah, I don't know
You'd
how
think that
that
would
could,
have to be pretty
You
consistent.
think that'd be pretty dead on, yeah.
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 Now,
I know how some of these footers get poured, there's excess. Somebody's gotta pay for it. They're not gonna take it by, they just dump it.
so on the removal side, you guys have done a lot of that already and stuff. Is there gonna be less on there that'll counter some of the other side, or are they just forgetting that it's parts they don't have to do and doubling up what they do have to do?
Well, with excavation, there was a lot of talk on how that gets measured at the meeting. And it is, the construction inspector who's on site will have to be verifying all the amounts that the contractor is doing. So they had a discussion about how that happens, and, you know, there's lots of conversations about compaction that I didn't get, that was just way above, but the right people are talking. But it's supposed to be that they're getting paid based on the actual quantities that they're doing.
When will they know more? Like, are you saying this week they'll know more?
I think she's asking, like, when do DuBois and King go back to the drawing
Yeah.
board and check their figures?
Or the construction
Or does that
manager?
happen?
So, no, that doesn't happen.
Oh, it
That-
doesn't?
Like,
Okay.
Oh.
The projects that go,
I
when
see.
the
So
materials
it
get
comes
used,
out
and this
when
is
the
what's
guy
gonna
is
be
counting loads and
built
things
at
like
the
that?
end.
Oh.
yeah, and as, where it would happen is if, when they start, if it looks, if there seems like things are headed in the wrong way, that's why you have the construction inspector who's there every day. And if it feels, so if it does seem like the quantity's off, there will be a request for a change order. And that is what, you know, the town has to sign off on that. And so there's a whole process for you being alerted of a price change.
Harrison's is the concrete company.
Yep.
And who's
So
the
I need to do
excavator?
some side talking to them then.
Who's the excavator company?
Luco's, Richie Luco, I'm not sure, it's Shelburne maybe, or in, Valancourt's a roofer, steel guy. So the only thing I think Millbrook's really doing is the wood part, the
Yep.
walls on top of the concrete and the rafters.
And I think he's still waiting for an answer on, and I'm not sure if he's formally submitted it, but he had, Millbrook had a desire to do some of the wall construction at his facility and then bring it, and then put it up on site, as opposed to doing it all on site. And so,
Makes sense.
so he's supposed to submit that as a question to make sure from an engineering perspective that.
Yeah, cause they could stack a bunch of walls,
Yeah,
make
they're
them,
only-
stack them, bring
It's
them.
like 6.5
Yeah.
feet on top of the concrete, so yeah, they can make them in sections. And he says it's not gonna make any difference if he does it in his shop on a concrete floor or if he does it out there in the dirt. And he's gotta put it together and then raise it up there. It's not like they're, so we're not gonna build them up there on top of 15 feet of concrete.
Right,
But that was his question, so, yeah.
Where's DuBois and King's liability on these discrepancies?
That's a good question. I know, you know, typically in contracts, there's an indemnification clause. And, you know, that, you know, so I feel like I don't know what recourse there is. We can ask that question of V-Trans.
All of a sudden, why are we using an engineer if they're not held liable for anything?
Really, Millbrook should be too, because they looked at it and gave us the price. It should be, that's the deal, you know?
Well, if, with the federal, you know, normal bidding, I would say that, yeah, they should have raised it, but in the federal bid process, they can only bid on the quantities that they're provided. So,
Seems like such a.
Not that we know exactly how much overage it's gonna be. I mean, you don't have any numbers or, like, there's no
They should
specifics.
still be able to ask the question of the engineer, like, hey. this
Oh,
doesn't
yeah,
look
no,
right to me.
I agree. I
Can you
just,
check it? And
Yeah, right.
you can't do
That's
things
what I
like
mean.
that
Right.
because it's what
Right.
it
Millbrook
is.
should have caught that kinda.
but they're not giving
Well, they did-
any
they bid
estimates
it-
of,
they
hey,
bid
it might
three
be a
times, and
little,
they said we
like,
brought
or
it
it's
to their
gonna be
attention all
low,
three
like,
times,
way
but
off.
they still
Like
sent back
the,
the same quantities
sorry.
every time.
I just didn't know if you had any range of like how much it's gonna be overage or.
I mean, they threw out a number of like that it's 20% under.
Oh, 20%. Oh, okay.
For the excavation. But again, like that's, then there was talk about how things were being measured and there was all
Gotcha.
this.
And
but
that's
I-
where the construction.
Need a couple farmers to
yeah.
build this. Stupid. $8 million shed.
So at the at our next meeting, will we have more updates on like that kind of stuff, or is that like farther out?
No, I would hope that we at least have some more. Again, I don't have,
Right.
unfortunately, I don't have great answers.
No, you have what you have. Yeah.
I mean, there was nothing you could do more.
Yeah. No.
Um,
Well, thank you.
Would you join?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Bethany.
Thank you.
Bethany's been putting a lot of time into this.
Yes.
Right from the
Yes.
get-go.
Yeah.
Left her hanging dry the other day. She had a conference call. I was supposed to get back, and I didn't get back till it was just about over.
Oh, yeah, you were supposed to be there to make me behave.
She was pretty boiled
Blaming
up.
you.
She was pretty boiled up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna email Mary before I leave here.
All right.
We share an email, so it's my
perfect.
email.
Alright, well, I got some more good news if you're ready for that. This is nowhere near as bad as what this sand shed could be, but, on our structures grant for the box culvert past the Ovett Road, we agreed to go with Camp Precast with a price that they gave me of $71,575. Well, and we hired that Tyler Billingsley Engineering Service to help us out with it, because we need to have an engineer help us along with the project. So, and as soon as he applied to the Army Corps of Engineers and Fish and Wildlife and Stream Alterations, two of the state agencies didn't. The hydraulic study I had done was back in 2004, so they weren't good with going with the one that old, so they wanted to get an updated one. An updated one showed we needed a little bigger culvert. We had to have it embedded a couple feet instead of 1 foot. So, but he shortened up the wing walls, so it expanded the opening of the box culvert, but he shortened up the wing walls, so taking some away and whatever, it added up another $3,300 more on the box, which isn't terrible.
No.
So I went ahead and told Camp Precast to go ahead and do it. I didn't bother coming back to you guys to get your approval. I just figured if we decided to go with Camps, whether we went with Camps or with Ireland's, probably the price is gonna be the same either way, so. So, yeah, so the new price is $74,875, and then it's a little bigger box, a little deeper, a little wider. With the windstorm last year, like I think I told you last meeting, the FEMA declared that a disaster March 20th or whatever. Jesse filled in for me at the applicant briefing meeting. Today we had the exploratory meeting, conference call. Next week will be a recovery scoping meeting, just another conference call, just procedure. But the work is all done, so as soon as we get this thing going there, we should get a payment fairly quick. They'll pay us 75% of our cost, which I don't know yet what that will be, but. Truck one, the old truck one, brought it down to the armory today, parked it down there, because we kinda had to get it out of the way over to West Enosburgh. What do you wanna do with that? You wanna put that out to bid now and see what we get out of it? We've had a lot of interest, but nobody's come forward and got serious about it. A couple I thought were pretty serious, but
We did have one today, it's in an email on there as well.
sent an email. What was it?
Shoulders.
Oh, Greg Shoulder? I heard he was interested, but I didn't really come up with that. Oh, they made an offer?
Yeah.
Well, there's an offer. That's more than we've gotten from anybody else. We've had interest, but not an offer.
What if you put it out for bids, and let everybody throw something at them, at it?
Yeah, I think
At least
we're
we got-
asking too much.
At
I
least we got one to go
dropped it
on.
down to, we were asking 40, I dropped it down 35 on Craigslist, but still,
No calls, no nothing, huh?
just people interested in looking at it, but, you know.
I think it's probably, you're looking at the age, you know, considering that you put it under your house every night, took care of it.
Yeah, of course, it's a town truck too, so town trucks are known to be worth not as much, for sure. Even though they're taken care of, they get used hard, so.
Hmm.
So I guess, got an offer, I guess you could take that and run with it, or put it out to bid, see what you can get out of it.
Could you do a counter offer, just to see if you can,
Well, why don't we just put it out for 2 more weeks, and then when we come back.
Put it out for,
Yeah.
Put out to bid and
Put it out
and
to
have it
bid.
for May 15th, the next meeting.
yeah,
See what
especially
you
if
get.
you reached out to anybody that showed interest or and said, hey, put a bid in, it's going to bid.
I guess probably put it on your Facebook, what
We
you're
still
talking about too, the.
say on these bids that we do have the right to refuse,
I can't put it on Marketplace through the.
because if it comes back at 15,000, I'll let it go.
Yeah, I tried looking that up the other, and if it was a personal, I
I'll
can't.
pay you
but-
20.
You could put it on, all right? Could you put it on for the town, or not?
I don't know if I can or not. I'd get all the calls, I'd be
Oh,
the listed under my name.
But if you listed it, can you list your, yeah, can you list in the post, the phone number to the,
Oh, maybe.
yeah, I don't know, I've never done anything on that Marketplace, so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
so
can- you
you
can
can
list
let
whatever
this
phone
person know
number.
that we're gonna have a bid process,
I love
formal
that.
bid process.
I forgot my purse.
yeah, I didn't know you said that in there. Or, I heard he was interested, one of the interested ones, but I didn't.
So we'll just revisit at the next meeting then, okay.
Okay, so you wanna put it out to bid this weekend, put it in the paper, or?
Well,
Sure.
I think we could do Craigslist and Facebook.
I don't know if Craigslist does much, but didn't seem to get much out of that, but.
I know, yeah, Facebook Marketplace, it's very busy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people look at that.
Okay, well, we'll try that.
You wanna do the courier?
If you want, we can. If you want, can you do it? You have to have it in by noon on Wednesday.
Where are you going?
Yeah, I could, if you wanna do that. Can put it on Front Porch Forum and
Yeah.
Courier. Can put it on Craigslist, I just don't know, I'll see if get much out of that, but maybe.
There's a lot of
Just
scams
say,
on
Joey,
Craigslist
just-
right now.
Just email me what you want your verbiage to say for your bid. Just shoot me an email and then I'll just copy and paste that and put it on Facebook.
Okay.
If you got some sort of, I don't know if there's I don't know,
Yeah.
do we have to have some sort of certain verbiage
Well, we
for
have to
that?
say we have the right to refuse any
Right,
and all
right,
bids.
yeah, you may know that better, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would do your
Just the select board
mileage
reserves
and-
a right
Right,
to-
Yeah.
which that I know, but I just don't know the refusal to have that.
Oh, right.
I don't know the bid verbiage, so,
Okay, yeah, I'll send you, I can send
yeah,
you
if
some.
you just see, yeah, send me an email and I can.
Okay, paving this year, I got some paving ideas I'd like to do, I actually wanted to, talked about them last year, but we didn't get to it. We didn't do any of our resurfacing, we didn't use any of that money, it got used elsewhere, but,
It's been a long night, it ran out.
Oh, look, it's pouring rain. See who's,
Huh? I'll grab one of hers. You can stay in the game.
that's right.
so with our paving fund, I'd like to do another piece of dirt road. Probably what would make the most sense is to do another portion of the Tyler Branch Road, but there's not another portion of it that's ready yet. But I'd like to see that happen within the next couple of years. But there's a portion of Stonehouse Road, like from the cemetery out to the intersection by Jim Carpenter's, just a lack of putting some fabric on a section of it and some gravel, and there's actually one culvert left to change. That's ready to go. So I don't know if that's a section you'd like to do. Our money that we do doesn't do a lot at a time, but I guess every piece we get done is one less that we get to do, so.
Well, that would straighten out a little section that you guys always has potholes in it there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
And then with our resurfacing money, I wanted to do it last year, but from West Enosburgh up through to the Albert Road intersection, do a shim and an overlay on that existing pavement there,
Right by my house.
right by the Phil Road to his house. Yeah.
You see the phone calls coming down. I'm gonna say, hey, listen, our zoning administrator travels this road every day, our town clerk travels this road every day.
I travel that road. I travel that road.
Another board member, 3 and 4 board members.
It's just a highly used road, that's it.
Yeah, we didn't do any last year, and I hate doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might wanna go, Rachel.
Because you miss a year of doing that resurfacing of what we have, and then you fall a year behind, so.
Whatever you think, Joey. That sounds good. You said resurfacing, so that's a different, it's not like a full.
Yeah,
You're
it's
just
kinda two
taking out
different
the-
pots of money.
What am I
Yeah. Oh,
Resurfacing
I
is
see.
kinda like to resurface existing pavement.
Same thing, but different.
Just paving.
Yeah,
Bridge
yeah, yeah.
17.
We're trying to give you a bridge.
Sometimes we use some of the paving fund to supplement
Right,
the
right, so
resurfacing
it's-
if we don't have enough, to
What?
need another
Yeah.
$6,000 to get to
You
the
offset them
intersection.
sometimes, yeah, that's good.
It's paving either way.
Right,
The
right.
theory with the paving fund is to try to do some dirt road sections.
Right,
2 years ago?
And the resurfacing is to just resurface what we've
fix what
already
you've
got.
already, yeah, that makes sense, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good plan, do, you know, maybe put a section from the cemetery out and
Up too far.
that resurface, if that other road's not ready.
The Stonehouse, they looked at it a couple of years ago. Actually, this is from last year, so the tonnage is 2,040 ton.
If his garage is all the way.
And this year it looks like it's gonna be about $90 a ton, so it'd be 183,600 to do that Stonehouse portion. But we gotta buy some fabric and we gotta do our other stuff too before it's ready for pavement, so we'll use some more of that money. But we got 252,000 in the paving fund budget. Cause as of the end of last year, we had $152,200. And then we added another 100,000 to it, so we got 252 there. So like I said, what we do is covering some ground, it's just not covering big ground, but maybe once this sand shed's done and we can take that money we've been setting aside for that, match for that, and put it towards maybe a
Well,
little more
yeah.
aggressive paving or something.
And we also have the ARPA money, but
ARPA.
we wanna hang on to that in case we need to put it into that, salt shed.
Hopefully this causeway money comes around.
Yeah, we really need to, you hear that, legislators? We really need that.
Please? So I think that's a plan then, try to go with those two pieces for the paving fund and for resurfacing.
I think so.
Do you need,
I don't-
do you need a motion on that, or do you just?
No.
I can
Scared
get
of
more
spending.
accurate pricing, I know that's pretty close, cause I've called Pikes when they did a class 2 paving application, I asked them what to use for paving price, and they said, well, for an estimate like that, maybe 90-95, so it probably would be less than that, but it's a good number to use for an estimate. So mowing roadsides, we had that mower that we had shared with Berkshire, as we know, that's all gone by. We no longer share that with them, so we gotta do something, and we talked about budgeting some money to buying a tractor, and I thought, well, maybe we could just hire somebody to do it for a couple of years until we figure out what we should have for a tractor. And we got the boom mower on the grader, and if we're gonna keep the grader with that boom mower or not when that time for that goes, or are we gonna get a tractor with the boom mower and the side mower, you know, maybe till we figure that all out, so. So I was thinking of somebody to do it. Steve Pearlie used to do it years ago. And I talked to him, see if he was interested in doing it again, if you guys wanted him to, and he said he would. He used to charge like $5,000 to do it back, I don't know, how long ago was that, 20 years ago now?
When I first started, probably, was the last few times that he did it, so.
He said,
back
I've
in
actually still got
2006.
the same mower, I got a different tractor, smaller tractor, but, and he said he'd do it now for for 6,000.
Seems pretty reasonable.
How long did it take you guys to do it, Joey?
It's at least 2 weeks. I could look back. I was thinking of it tonight when I was sitting out there and I kind of doing some math, and it's at least 2 weeks. So 80 hours, if you did the math there, it's like $75 an hour. If it took 80 hours, and I'm pretty sure it's more than that. I think it's like 2.5 weeks.
That's one round or 2 rounds?
That's one round. But I'd like him to do 2.
2, yeah.
I'd like to have him do, I've been wanting to do that with our roadsides the last few years. Cause it seems like, what we always used to do was, we shared with Berkshire, so Berkshire always tried to mow their roadsides before the 4th of July.
Yeah.
So after the 4th of July, we would take them. A lot happens, a lot of people start complaining about intersections cause they can't see good. So the last couple of years, I've kinda gotten the mower from Berkshire before they used it, so we've done it earlier.
But then it grows along with it.
And then it gets long, like back first part of September, it's at the point where it almost needs to be done again, so.
Is that like a special type of mower, what is this Steve Pearlie, like, what is he have?
He's got-
Reaches over.
It's like a long arm, is it one of
Yeah.
those types?
Yeah.
Okay,
He's got pretty much a similar thing that we had, that we shared with Berkshire.
that we
It's got-
don't have anymore.
We got disc on the bottom with little
Okay, yeah, I
blades,
think I've seen those.
but they set off to the side, so.
Right.
Like his is, I think, 6 foot
You
long.
can go right over the guardrails.
Yeah, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't, his doesn't do that,
Oh, does it?
no. It's just, you just.
Oh, I see, it's just a flop. I see.
Yeah, it's like a
Like a
cool
whole
mower.
sickle bar mower.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's a cool mower.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the brand that he has.
That's
but it's-
KUHN.
Yeah.
Not like Rocky Raccoon. I got you, Pierre. No, I think that's probably a wise thing to do.
I mean, that's
rather
something you
than-
could put out to bid too, but, there's other people that do that. There's a guy in Sheldon that molds roadsides. He does it for Sheldon, for Fairfax, but that's the trouble, and they're gonna want it done the same time we want it done. So I'm thinking, well, if we had somebody that's kind of at our disposal,
He knows the roads.
we can call him up and say, hey, can you start mowing next week? And then he goes and does it, and then call him up when you want him to do it the second time.
Is that still cheaper than do you know what it would cost to purchase?
I don't know.
Oh, if we would purchase all that equipment.
Right,
You're
I'm just
talking
curious.
2 mowers, yeah.
A lot.
70 to 100
Oh,
grand,
okay.
probably.
Oh, for the tractor, probably.
Oh, wow.
It depends if you get a good second cruise.
Right.
I don't know
But
how
you
big
would-
you need, but
But you
yeah,
were
you're
talking about
talking.
one for a spare loader at one time too, right? Getting the tractor big enough.
Well, if
so
you had
could have
like a,
bucket.
one with a bucket, so that if the loaders broke down, you could have something with a bucket around that you could load stuff or whatever, and it would make sense, but.
Because if you're gonna go that route like he's talking about, we get the grader that's gonna be coming up. It might make more sense if you're gonna get that tractor to get the implements for that tractor, and the new grader is just a grader.
Yeah. Or you keep the old grader with a boom mower on it and buy a tractor with just a grass mower versus, and then still you got the iron for the brush.
Yeah.
'Cause that works super good for the brush, there's no doubt
Yeah,
about
which
that.
is,
That thing cut more brush in 1 hour than 3 guys can in a day. But it doesn't really work good for grass, it's slow, you know, and it's not made to cut grass. It will, but it doesn't do a great job. So,
I think that makes sense for the roadsides.
well, it's a taxpayer, you know, and,
Yeah.
but I don't really know the people in town who have a tractor and a mower to mow roadsides. I mean, there is some around, but whether they'd wanna do it, I don't know.
The fact that he's done it before too is not, like you said.
Yeah, he did it for a
kinda-
few years.
Yeah,
He's easy going.
I think Jesse was gonna.
No, I was just gonna say Jeff could tell, I know that Jeff does it for Fairfax.
Yeah.
Jeff is, I used to know it was something per mile, he charged by the mile is what he charged.
Yeah.
But I think he has to do, he used to have to do Fairfax
Yeah.
twice, two
Yeah.
times a year, so, like you said, by the time he gets
I
Sheldon
think he
done.
does Sheldon twice too,
Yeah,
actually. He does
he-
some of it twice.
And it's like 60 some odd miles is in Fairfax, he told me it's a lot of miles in Fairfax, he does, so,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so if,
it's kinda crazy.
yeah, if he's been doing it for them, it's not like.
What time
we're
you
gonna
think
call
you're
him up.
going?
He's gonna,
We have to do them.
he's gonna do them first and then before
Uh,
us.
Can we delay this for 2 weeks
So the
again?
next time a guy doesn't do it for everybody else.
Yeah, she's just gonna stay up at this
So
point.
is everybody okay with having
Yeah.
it, Steve?
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay. So, okay, the only other thing is the emergency management plan, which don't have to be done tonight, but I
Okay.
think all you gotta do is sign that. If you guys have looked that over, I really haven't, but it doesn't matter. If you guys found the things to change, then
I jotted a couple of
I
things,
found a few
but,
in mine.
but it's like you said, when is it due
it'll be
officially?
due a year from now.
Oh.
Oh, for, like now, it's like due right now, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
Today.
But we can make,
Is it today?
Today's May 1st, yeah.
Yeah,
but we can
Oh,
make changes
man.
as we go.
okay, oh,
So-
okay.
you'll be doing it again a year from now, so it's not like it's.
Well,
I'll
some
sign
of
it, I'll
them
send it
are
down to the
like
village.
not existent anymore.
They said
but-
do it, the village.
You know what I mean?
I mean, you wanna keep it updated, so it, I
How
mean,
can
there's
they
no.
submit without, they need to sign this paper?
Oh, really? I have he gave me a copy.
No, they probably did. I think they're just supposed to sign this paper. It says
Oh.
Sam's name on it.
Oh, no kidding.
They didn't
And
spell
maybe
it
they
right.
didn't
I
get
didn't
that
have you spell
portion
his
of the
name.
email.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's not. With an N. It's a B.
Yeah,
So,
we can update as we
Balin,
go.
or, that's probably why you didn't sign it.
So maybe he didn't submit it, maybe he just changed it.
Maybe.
He gave me, Gary gave me a copy of the
Okay.
village's one that's updated, so.
Gary Denton did.
Did you
Yeah.
find somebody to help you with that?
Do they
Well,
have
the
their
only-
signature page on there?
He did that.
I, Sean sent me the
Harold backs up,
23
yeah.
today,
Yeah.
after I talked to you.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's.
from the
20
village? The village?
No,
sent it?
no, Sean Coleman sent it.
Okay, you have some more?
No, that's it.
Okay, so you're probably gonna have to stay for that executive session. So let's do the minutes, we get the minutes approved
We have another-
for April 17th.
Well, I meant to ask Susie about the lawn at the Opera House too, they wrecked it with that lift.
Oh, the guy that
There's
came
holes
to
in
look
there
at the
that
road?
deep, and they went across the places where she wants to, where the drainage is bad. Yeah, and then they went on Mrs. Ryan's
Oh.
lawn again a little bit, I don't know if she said anything or not.
She hasn't yet.
She will.
She does.
It's not as bad as it was last year, but it's just like the corner of it.
Yeah.
But it definitely needs to be fixed.
On the Suzie part, you may just want to identify the last name.
What did I put?
There's Suzie.
Did I put this in?
Yeah.
Well, it's like Shader. She's just popular and everybody knows her, so.
No, you know.
Let me find my copy. I just put just Susie. Okay.
Yeah, I don't see anything else.
So if everybody's gone through the minutes, I'll need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to
Accept.
approve.
Just made a motion.
I'll second.
Your second motion to change Susie's name. Any more discussion? If I have none, all in favor of approving April 17th minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Yes, ayes, it's approved. One other thing we've got is rec field maintenance. What's that?
Remember, she had asked for somebody to do.
Maintenance position.
Like to line the fields, pick up
Mhm,
garbage, look at the soccer nets, things like that. And there was two interested people. One was a college student, which she didn't really feel like they had the background for it, and then the other one is the people that you can see there. I think this is their first few months in business, I'm not sure if they've been in business before, and they charge more than the $15 an hour. But as in the email, she states that they, I guess, are willing to meet her in the middle between 15 and 35.
It's a company?
Nolan's Inside Out Property Maintenance,
RJ.
Oh.
RJ. Nolan?
Yeah.
Available year round.
We need to decide on that tonight.
Probably could wait until she hammers out some better numbers. That's my thought.
I'd say let's wait until she gets us some better numbers.
Okay.
Because, I mean, it's a broad spectrum of in the middle.
Right, right, yeah.
Let's see that.
Alright, so we're gonna table that. Alright, so last thing we have on the agenda is executive session. Item for bridge. Don't need a motion.
I'll move to go into executive session for discussion of Bridge 50.
Dean made a motion,
I'll second.
Phil second that motion, we go into executive session. Any more discussion? If having none, all those in favor of executive session, signify by saying aye.
Okay.
All those opposed, say nay. We're going to executive session approximately 8:47. Wow.